We are joined now by FS1 NBA analyst Chris Broussard. Chris, when you look at this one, was it more about Toronto or more about Golden State?
Look, I think it was more about Golden State. And I get people that might want to say Klay Thompson missed the last 8 minutes. You got to take advantage. Well, they did. They went on a 10-0 run to end the game before Iguodala's three-pointer. I also saw Toronto obviously miss some open looks from three. But that was more of who Toronto is. They shot almost 40% from three in game one. That's not who they are. They shot 34% throughout the playoffs to that point. Yesterday, they were a little worse than usual, but that was kind of coming back to who they are. I give Golden State credit. I thought Golden State was the epitome of the heart of a champion and next man up. I mean, we could go, look, Boogie Cousins, I was skeptical. When I heard that Steve Kerr had put him in the starting lineup, I was like, oh, man, here we go.
So was I.
You know?
I agree.
And you saw from the first possession how he got into Marc Gasol. I thought even a little too aggressive. He might have been fouling him on the first possession, but...
By the way, to your point, every time DeMarcus had the ball in his hands, I was a little nervous. Like, I was rooting for Golden State, but it was like a little shaky.
Right.
Like, uh-oh.
Is he going to shoot a three? And he obviously hit one.
Yeah.
But his passing... Like, he was like a spectacular role player yesterday. You know, with the 11 points, the 10 rebounds, some big rebounds late. But his passes were great. And overall, 34, they assisted on 34 of their 38 field goals. That was a finals, the most highest percentage of assists since 1960 in the finals. So that shows you the teamwork. I mean, how many backdoor cuts? Boogie had some great passes. I thought Draymond was sensational. Like, he was the MVP of the game to me. He, you know, with pushing the pace, almost had the triple-double. Said before the game, after game one, I'm going to have to get in Pascal Siakam, and he did.
He said, I'm going to shut that off.
Right. And it wasn't like Russell Westbrook has said he going to change some things.
No, he said, I'm going to shut that off.
Right. And he did it. And, you know, Iguodala is just a winner. If you look back at his track record, go back to Philadelphia.
I agree.
You know, they took the big three, you know, Garnett, Pierce, Ray Allen to 7 games in Philadelphia, which wasn't a great team. He goes to Denver, they win 57. He comes to Golden State, and this run begins. So he's just a winner. And, you know, look, the only thing that they did that was terrible was Steph throwing the ball in the air and getting that tee at the end, which could have come back to haunt them.
I thought it was going to. Yep.
But yeah, I thought Golden State showed up when they had to.
You mentioned that they had 34 assists on 33 assists.
On 34 on 38.
38. Because they're the only team without KD that doesn't have a guy that can go get you buckets on his own. So the ball has to move. You look at everybody else, they've had that one-on-one guy that, get out, don't worry about this, I got this. That's not what Steph's going to do. Steph's not going to say
he can do some of that, but...
Steph's not going to say clear side. Clay's not going to say clear side. Draymond's not going to say clear side. Maybe Boogie Cousins. But Boogie has stepped out of that role in order to blend better into this role, which is, hey, okay, you know, look, I can't get 20 shots. I can't go one-on-one and do the sanitation truck and beep, beep, back everybody down. So he's doing a great job of moving the ball. But I told you, didn't I tell you this more about Golden State?
Tell me everything.
I tell you, I told you this was about Golden State. Look, do I believe that, how do you win a game when you shoot less than 40% from the floor? Because Toronto shot 37.2% from the floor. You're going to lose. And if you let the opposing team shoot 46%, you're losing that game, Skip. And as bad as they played, they still had an opportunity to win it. Now, moving forward, we still don't know what Clay's going to have. Now, Clay said at the thing, he said he heard a pop. Now, the last time we heard a guy to say he had a pop and say he was going to be okay, Skip, how many games did he miss?
He's getting old.
And he was supposed to be out 6 months.
Yeah, he fought through and he came back in 5 weeks.
Pain. Yeah. Right? Didn't I read that somewhere?
So, look, give the Warriors credit because Clay also said after the game, said, we'll show them what we're made of. We'll show that we have the heart of a champion. There's a reason why we're in this position. 5 straight NBA finals, going for our 4th title in 5 years. They're made of the right stuff. They don't count themselves out. They believe in each other. And the ball moves. Like I said, again, Kevin, not a knock on you. They're not better than with you not being there, KD. They're very, very different. And that's okay. That's not a knock on you.
Great.
They're still great. They're great. They're even greater with you. Because now, see, Kevin Durant would have never allowed what happened last night. 5:39, and you go all the way down to 6 seconds before you get a basket.
No
because
way.
now,
Well, and they never would have been able to go box and one. Box and one.
exactly.
That's like 7th grade. You know?
So, Skip, you can say, hey, KD, go and get us one of your buckets right now. Just slow this run down, because they're not going to be 10-0 with KD on the court in that situation. So this was the Warriors, the Raptors, but don't count them out yet. They still got old Claw. Claw made the right stuff, Skip.
Thank you for bringing up that guy, because I got to take issue with my friend, Mr. Broussard, sitting to my left right now, because he said last week that number 2 has answered every challenge. So now I want to talk about the un-MVP of the night last night. And I give Mr. Broussard every positive point he made about Golden State, because you are dead right about all that. They have, as Steph said after the game, championship DNA, and it manifested itself in many big and little ways that you detailed so beautifully. Now, all I know is that game was begging for number 2 to take it over and win it. And if he had, Toronto would be up 2-0, and everybody would be saying, could this be a sweep? And I think Toronto would be perfectly positioned to win its first ever NBA Finals and NBA championship. And down the stretch, last 8 minutes of this game, number 2 turned back into just what I told both of you he is not. He is not a clutch closer. I've said I watched him for 7 years. I know what he's not made of. He is fragile physically and sometimes mentally. He is supremely gifted. Listen, I was the guy who was arguing against you all those years that he was rising and shining in San Antonio, but he needed somebody to close for him. He needed Tony Parker, Monty Ginobili, or back in the old days, Tim Duncan, to close for him. And last night, he needed somebody else to close, because he said the day before, I was in a box in San Antonio, and now he's out of the box.
In a box?
Last night, yeah, that's what he
How'd
said.
that make you feel?
Well, it just, go look at what I tweeted. Okay, so number 2 comes back in the game with 8 minutes left, and down the stretch of this game, he misses all 3 of his threes. That's with 7:14 left, 5:54, and 2:43. He misses threes. If he makes 1 or 2 of those, we might be having a different conversation right now. He had a crucial turnover with 2:18 left, tries to dribble it into traffic and just loses the basketball. You can't do that if you're that guy in that building on that night.
The one Draymond knocked away from him?
You know, but you just can't. You got to protect the ball and get to the basket. In the final minute and a half, number 2 had 2 9-foot 2-point shots and badly missed both of them. You just can't. You got to make one of them, and maybe we're having a different conversation. And now let's look at the 2 scoring plays that he had, both of them highly debatable and controversial, because the first one comes with 6:38 left. He gets away with driving into the middle and throwing his elbow into Draymond and flat out running over him and knocking him down. And then Bogut tries to get in the way, and he elbows Bogut. Hit them both with an elbow, and then he comes completely down.
That was a heck of a make, though.
Okay, it's a heck of a mate with his feet on the floor. He travels like something's got to give
the ball
here.
leaving.
Oh, okay. The ball's leaving. It hasn't left his hand. He's traveling with his feet on the floor and just happens to throw it way up off the backboard, and it trickles in.
Let me
somehow.
guess, you said they know his look.
Okay, it's an offensive foul. He hits Draymond as hard as he can, left elbow right into chest, and knocks him on his back. It's charging, but they give him and one. So that's half of his fourth quarter points. That's 3. And then here we go with the more controversial play with 1:08 left that leads to a technical foul on Steph Curry, because he drives on Cousins, and Cousins just reaches right in and snakes the basketball right away from him. DeMarcus is capable of doing this. He got all ball. DeMarcus is out of his mind trying not to get a technical himself. He just knocked it out of his hands. And it goes right to Steph, and Steph heard the whistle before the ball touched his hand, so he just follows through and throws it into the rafters, and it's a technical foul, and he goes and makes all 3 free throws. And I give you, he made 16 of 16. That's sensational. But 6 points that are controversial come on an and one and 3 free throws, and that's all you got? This is it. This is your game to win, because guess what Golden State doesn't do? As we've been talking about all morning, from the 5:39 mark all the way down to the 7-second mark, Golden State can't score a point, not a free throw or a basket. They score 0. That's impossibly bad for a team that led the league in offense this year, but obviously they don't have Clay, and they don't have KD, and they don't even have Kevon Looney to set picks. And all of a sudden, you got nothing but box and one on Steph, and they look overmatched, didn't they?
Yeah.
They couldn't even get a shot up.
I think, though, we can point those things out. I mean, we can go down the line and point out, like Steph driving to the lane, I think it was Siakam or somebody got all ball.
Yeah.
It was a bad call.
Right.
So Golden State didn't deserve those free throws.
Right.
Yeah,
so
I
we
agree.
can look, I mean, whether it was this game or just historically or throughout these
but you
playoffs,
got to admit,
you can always point those out.
Number 2 had game 2 right in his hands. That's where you got to close it.
Well, and he has closed, though, throughout these playoffs.
Well, has he?
Yeah.
When?
I mean, the
he's had the only shaky
how
fourth
about
quarters.
the
I
only
haven't
game
seen it.
7 and buzzer beater in NBA history?
Okay, is the luckiest shot you'll ever see?
I don't care if it was
short.
It fell.
It's short.
Did it go through the hoop?
Okay,
did they get 3 points?
Was
for
it, wait.
Two
Was it a
points?
Ray Allen Memorial swish?
It
no.
doesn't
have to
matter.
be. Please,
I don't
it's
care
lucky.
if it's a swish.
It's lucky.
I don't care
Don't
if it hit
give
the
me-
top of the backboard and
Don't
fell
give
in.
me clutch close.
It's the only one in the history of the NBA.
It didn't even count.
And-
It didn't count.
I know, but you got to disqualify it.
Okay, what about
gotta
game 6?
disqualify
What about game?
disqualify
So how did he do it?
anything.
How did he do in game 6 against Milwaukee?
Game 6, I can.
He
I
shut down
details
the
for both of
MVP.
you. Okay,
In the
he
whole
does
series.
that.
He did
Okay,
that.
and I didn't even get to my closing point here. Speaking of defense, he's the best two-way defender in the playoffs. He's the MVP of the playoffs because he goes both ways. He can do both.
He can.
Okay, and what happens on the crucial play of the night? Steph Curry careens through the double team. He loses his balance, and he just flips up a pick 6 pass. It's just sitting up in the air, floating toward Sean Livingston. It is, hey, 2